Hey, I'm JD. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe. Please hit like. And oh my God, what a week. So the reason I'm all excited right now is I've got this watch working. This is a very old Swiss movement. Very narrow space between the upper balance cock and the lower jewel on the main plate of this watch. You can see in the corner here, or on the side here, that's the old balance staff. Had both pivots broken on it, which is not good. I'm wearing my Sadie hat right now, which is great for blues fests, blues concerts. Sadie. Anyway, so the problem I had with this whole thing was that when I cut another balance staff for this. This is the original right here. The one I cut for it was too short. There's no way of lengthening it. I thought maybe I'd lower the jewel here. Not possible, because when you lower that, you end up not lowering the cap jewel on this particular movement. There's no way of lowering the cap jewel. In fact, because this regulator is screwed in from the bottom. It goes 2 screws coming up from the bottom. So it's really tricky to do that. And I thought, well, maybe I can raise it up a little bit from the bottom part so it'll fit into the jewel here. Same problem. The bottom part also has a cap jewel on it. It just has to be the right dimension. So I just sort of bit the leather and said, let's just make another balance staff. So yesterday afternoon and this morning, I started cutting the balance staff, and I did it without recording the video this time because I thought I really need to concentrate on this, and I just can't make another video. Oh, I'm going to flip my leather is all out of position here. What the hell's going on? I said, I got to concentrate on this or I'll screw it up again. So I really concentrated on it and finished the pivots off beautifully. I think I did a great job on it, and I'll flash up some pictures in the bottom when I'm making this video, but it was a tough job. And I think because of the size of the movement, this is a size 12 movement, but it's very narrow. It's a Swiss-made movement, very narrow. And a gentleman from our local watch club asked me if I could make a balance staff for it. It had both pivots broken, so it was extremely difficult to measure. So my recommendation, if you're going to make a balance staff for something like this, is be super precise. I did make a video on how I made that balance staff, so there's nothing wrong with the video that I made. I think I could have done a better job on the pivots when I first did those pivots. I think I did a good job, but they were a little bit too short, and that caused the problem. So I was assuming that they'd be a little shorter than they were. So I measured 15 times and cut once this time. So I just measured. And you'll also know that I held the original source balance staff backwards against the one in the lathe, just to kind of assume or estimate the distance of that pivot on one side. Did the same thing on the other side. I was very lucky when I chucked them up. When I chucked the balance up for the roller table part, I had to chuck it up on the other side, and I was able to chuck it up around the collar that holds the balance itself. When I recut the new balance, I left a little bit extra for the rivet to make sure I had a good, reasonable size rivet on this, and I'd be able to rivet that down nicely. I was able to friction fit that. I did a good job friction fitting the roller table. I did a piss poor job friction fitting the collet for the hairspring, but it wasn't that piss poor because I was able to use my tool that I have, where you just put it in the hole, you tighten it, and it tightens the collet, and it worked perfectly. It tightened the collet really nicely, so there was no problem at all there. What else happened? I think that was probably it. Polishing the pivots, I did a good job on that, and it was quite the adventure. I was really hoping I could get this thing done. Now, one thing that I had to do with this was I had to shim the balance up just a bit, and you can see there's a white shim right there. You can see a little bit of a white shim right there, and that is watch paper. And you can see on the other side, I have, you can barely see it, but there it is there. So you can see the shim on this side as well. So I was able to take 2 pieces of watch paper, triple fold them, and then put them in until I shimmed it correctly, and then screw the screw down tight. So it's well shimmed, and without shimming it, it wouldn't work. And if I didn't shim it, I think I would have had to take the balance out, and I would have had to play with that on my lathe for another 4 hours. And even then, you can be unlucky. You can crack the pivot while you're working on it. You can hit it with your hand accidentally. You can move your elbow if something happens. You're really risking it. So I thought, okay, the better solution here is just to shim it. Although I don't like to shim it, I have done it in the past. So this just raises it up probably 0.1 of a millimeter, which gives it the end shake that it needs to actually run properly. So it's running at a very nice amplitude right now. I think it's 240, which is pretty darn good for an old watch like this, and it's good to go. So I think the gentleman who owns the watch will be quite pleased that he's got the watch running again. And I took probably, with the broken balance staff, the one that didn't work, was probably 8 hours worth of work at least to get that thing all done and dusted. A disassembly of the old balance staff, and then reassembly onto the new balance staff, and then I realized it wasn't fitting, and I fired with that probably for about an hour. And then this balance staff here probably took me, I think, 3 hours yesterday and another solid 2 hours, 2.5 hours today, just to get the staff done. And then after lunch, I reassembled the balance and did all that. So we're looking at 2, 3, 4, 5, probably 6 hours worth of work to get this thing working properly. I'm not sure if you're quicker at making balance staffs than I am, but you really got to be anal retentive when it comes to measuring it. And again, as I've shown you in the numerous videos I make, I use carbide gravers, and I'll use a regular triangular graver to make the main cuts. And then when I get to the very finite areas, I use a 4mm square and a 2mm square, and a 4mm rounded and a 2mm rounded, and to just basically cut the edges. I probably use the Arkansas stone more than I've used it before. I've typically cut more, but these pivots were 0.11 millimeters, so they were not big pivots for this. I had to go down really small on these. So that was a job and a half. So please give me your comments. It's been an exciting adventure, and hopefully the gentleman that owns the watch will like what I've done. I'll be reassembling the watch probably tomorrow. I'll let this thing run overnight, make sure I don't have any issues, and we'll go from there. So anyway, I'm JD, and I am a amateur watchmaker. I probably make negative $1,000 a year with this hobby. I'm thinking. So if you need your watches fixed, I only fix them if they mean something to you, like they're a family heirloom and you can't find anyone to do this work reasonably, and just give me a call or send me an email and we'll chat. So I don't do this for the money, because like I said, I probably make negative $5,000 a year on this hobby. So I've been doing it since 2008, and I'm getting pretty darn good at it. And making parts is fun, and it's a good distraction from the current world we're living in, if I could just make a political implication for now. So anyway, thanks a lot. I'm JD, and thanks for watching my channel.